moment you spawn, you need to look around to see if these three things are visible. We're in luck, haha! And so in the same way that compound interest creates money for those with it, a few good early game decisions will make a big impact on your survival. Today we'll assume you want a world capable of defeating the dragon, crafting a beacon, and getting all of the other 127 achievements. Here are the most useful things you can do after hitting create new world in just 7 short steps. Your first look around should be brief since there are just 10 minutes until night arrives, but spend a few seconds working out which direction will be best. Forests are tricky to traverse, while plains and deserts are filled with great structures. Oceans provide an opportunity to travel faster to find new biomes, and so are probably a better alternative than this. Of course, this first step is unnecessary if you've pre-picked a seed, something many people will recommend, but personally I think a random Minecraft world is some of the joy of the game because you never know what you're going to get, and so a bad looking spawn is never going to be a bad seed overall if you can just head a few steps in the right direction. And so once you've worked that out, you'll need to obviously collect some essentials along the way. The most important of these are food and a bed, and did you know there are actually 5 ways to get that second item? There's obviously the sheep route with wool that you might know, but there's also 3 structures in which it will spawn naturally, but you can also condense 12 string into 1 wool for those nights where you just don't find sheep or a trial chamber. And obviously I doubt you'll be finding one of those on your first day, but it is much more common to see one of these, so you should keep your eye out because their chests can contain iron, which will help you out massively because you can use just a single piece of it to craft a shield, or 3 of it to craft a bucket, or even more fun, you could use 3 to make a pickaxe, because most people skip all of the wooden tools to go straight to stone, but you usually need at least a wooden pickaxe to mine that. However, an iron pickaxe allows you to immediately mine stone and jump straight into those tools, and it's extra satisfying to know you got an achievement in a way the game didn't expect. But what is also satisfying is finally having the tools that you need and a bed and any food you can run across along the way, but it's also worth pointing out you should collect basically anything you get on the way to your home base, wherever that may be, and it's also worth pointing out that the best home base you can find is one that can provide iron as well as food as well as stone, and it's obviously a village. So if you're in one of these 5 biomes, keep an eye out for any of these weird villages because they're also super useful later in the game. But if you don't find one of those, don't stress, just find a place that you want to call home because that is obviously the next step. This is one that gets a lot of focus because you need one of these to survive your first night. Or do you? I mean, lots of people on YouTube would say yes, but I will give you the real advice, which is ultimately if you don't have a bed or you don't have all the requirements or you just don't want to start a home on your first night, go underground where it's dark all the time anyway, and then just resurface in another 10 minutes where you should hopefully have a home by the next night. This, by the way, doesn't need to be a forever home, as many people will say, but instead you'll need a place to store your things and sleep and later look back on. People will set unrealistic images of starter houses as their goal, but these are kind of ridiculous, and they're usually made in creative. Make something instead to the best of your abilities and the best of your resources, even if it's humble, because it's much more fun to improve as your tools and skills do, rather than aiming for perfection and continually missing. Or to put that another way, if your plan for a house requires thousands of blocks, you'll need tools that are capable of getting thousands of blocks, and until you have those diamond enchanted tools, you'd be better off working to the capabilities of your tools. And so if those are stone, then about 100 blocks is a good guide, maybe 100 of a couple different types, but ultimately you can make a basic one now, and then you can make that much better later. Instead though, right now is the time to identify what you're looking for next. Farms are a great target because although a lot of players like auto farms, the casual ones you make in a new world are some of the most wholesome and enjoyable, and if this was 2010, I'd advise you chop down some grass so you can get some seeds for some wheat for a food source, but bread sucks, and so instead use 2/3 as much to breed some cows. This is also a great time to try some fishing, and what's fun is both of these activities are capable of producing this achievement. Now is also a great time to plant any sugarcane you found, or indeed to find some if you haven't, and to start any other easy farms such as bamboo, sheep, or lava. These are all things that help out basically every single world, and just a few minutes here will set you up for some of the big goals you'll need to do later. A similar way to help future exploration is by mining coal or creating charcoal, because caves require a lot more torches now, and the big caves are the most rewarding, which are the first things you might want to explore, because now it's the time to go and find things outside of your comfort zone. The world is filled with lots of biome-specific items. Obviously everyone has very different ones, but depending on what you can immediately see, you might want to do a short trip and grab some of it. A few new wood types are always useful for building, and having all of the colored dyes is handy easier than you think, and worst case, you'll be adding to your explored biomes count, which is also a great thing for later. But while you're exploring around your base into each of these biomes, you might just find a big cave too. In fact, you almost certainly will. These are found from the surface, and they're some of the most enjoyable things to explore, in my personal opinion. I love the mine part of Minecraft. Even if you disagree with me, it's worth going down there because you can find lots of iron, great for making armor, great for making tools, a bucket and a shield, but also the cauldron and the anvil. There is no limit to the value that you can get from iron, and so grab as much as possible while making sure you try to go deeper in those caves and avoiding the deep dark that might be found down there. If you do find one of these biomes, just know there's a big friendly mob that will spawn if you get too close to these too many times, and let's be honest, if you're playing Minecraft, you're probably too introverted to talk to him, and so instead you can keep heading down and maybe you'll get lucky and find everyone's favorite blue ore. That's right, this is somehow just as rare as diamonds, which are the most common valuables you might seek. Only mine 3 of the actual diamonds you might find though, which you can then use to construct a pickaxe and then mine 2 more for a table. If you see any more, then you'd better remember where you saw this ore, because that is one that you'll want to come back to once you can get 4 diamonds instead of 1. While you have the diamonds and haven't crafted an enchantment table yet, it's worth mentioning that there is an anti-introvert achievement in Minecraft, actually 2 of them, because diamonds to you requires you to drop a diamond and have another player pick it up. There is also one for suspicious stew, which is very easy to craft, and I'd recommend getting both of these done at some point. Maybe invite a friend to the game, or if like me you would like to avoid that at all costs, did you know Minecraft Bedrock actually supports split screen if you're not on the PC, and so you can just invite yourself to the world and throw things to you. Wow, isn't it great to cheat the idea of playing multiplayer? Similarly, I think it's great to cheat the idea of getting enchantments, because instead of setting up your enchantment table like this and getting level 30 achievements that way, which is going to be expensive both in terms of lapis and levels, you could just instead go to any of these structures where you can find enchanted books. My favorite is the Stronghold, where you'll find the most OP books because of a weird bug, but right now you can get very powerful enchantments without ever actually having to enchant if you just make one of these anvils, and wow, all of a sudden that iron is coming in pretty handy. There's also the On a Rail achievement, but that is one that will take far more iron than I'm willing to talk about right now, and so instead we should move on to the idea that once you've got your valuables locked down, it's now time for you to go to the end. By that, I of course mean the end game of your Minecraft world. We are now at the point where we're set up and all of the challenges we want to do are ones that we can decide for ourselves. All of those big challenges are on the horizon, which personally I think we could do just fine with iron armor. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted diamond or enchanted, but it does add to the task which you'll have to do. Since that will also require so much XP, this could become a direct goal in itself, or instead this could become your side project while taking on some of the sillier objectives in your world. Although defeating the Ender Dragon is going to help you greatly with transportation and with a whole new dimension to unlock, it's worth pointing out that shooting a skeleton at 50 meters is satisfying, making a horse that can have chests on it is gratifying, and visiting all of the nether biomes is terrifying. But if you keep adding to your world and treating these as new opportunities for builds, then they can actually become opportunities to expand your world as much as your gamer score. Otherwise, if you want to see more, this has been the ultimate guide. We have new episodes every Tuesday, and so make sure you subscribe. Let's roll the outro.